I think so.
Is that okay that we waive? Oh.
For that one, that's not. Maybe we should cut back. Should we start from scratch? I'm sorry.
All right, thank you everyone for coming. Today I am going to be talking about the 6 dimensions of professional behavior. My name is Crystal Scott and I work for the College of Business in the Professional Development Office, helping the students and regularly get to encounter these kinds of situations. So hopefully from the book expertise and a little bit of personal expertise, we can all learn something together today. So first I'm going to start off with a few questions. These are meant to be answered out loud, they're not rhetoric. So my first question is, what is one of the most unprofessional encounters you have ever had with somebody? Whoever wants to pipe in.
I'll say, sometimes with students who have difficulty taking no for an answer and get heated in a public area.
For sure. So what areas do you find yourself to be exemplary in professionalism? Something that you think you do better than the rest. This is where you can toot your own horn.
I send wonderful emails.
Wonderful emails.
This is true.
That is great. They are. They're always very positive. All right, one more. Don't be shy. Go ahead.
I think I'm really good at following up on things.
Okay.
So if I send an email or if somebody says, will you, I think I'm really good at following up on that.
That's great. Thank you guys for your input. So now this is a rhetorical question. Reflect on what is an unprofessional encounter you created for somebody else. Something you said or did. Just think about it. So why does it matter? Why does professionalism matter? Keeping and getting a job, so you can get your foot in the door, that's great, but if you don't show yourself as a professional individual in the workplace, they're going to let you go and find somebody who can. Being known for your work ethic, that's something, just building up a formidable reputation, someone who wants to be worked with and is reliable and dependable and exhibits all of those very cliche qualities, but all very important. Developing a resourceful network and job experience. If I am very rude, I'm not going to have that person have anything nice to say about me. They're going to have nothing but negative things to say, and that does much more damage to my professional career in the long run. And then just contributing to the overall environment and culture of the workplace. Whatever you bring into the workplace, your personality, your attitude, it's going to shape that area and that environment just a little bit based on what you bring in and how you are interacting with those around you. So, the purpose of this is just to review the 6 dimensions of professional behavior, discuss the importance from an employer perspective and from an employee perspective. So the 6 dimensions: courtesy and respect. Accepting criticism, giving criticism in a gracious manner, because there's something wrong with everybody, we're not perfect people, but it's what we do with that chisel that speaks a lot about who we are as people. Apologizing for errors and our sincerity. Just sharing in a workplace. Many things are prepared on group work that require you to be prepared, be helpful, and contribute the most that you can, so that way no one has to go through and redo your work, and you can just have an exemplary experience. Reliability and diligence, so just honoring your commitments, doing what you say you're going to do, following through, being consistent and dependable. Honesty and ethics. Very, very traditional. In the business world, if you're not an honest person, you're not going to get very far. Someone is always going to see right through you. And then tolerance, that's something that I personally find myself being able to struggle with, is I could just yell at people sometimes. And that's something that I know that I have to keep in and have to regularly check myself on. And then appearance appeal. How are you eating? What are you wearing? Did you wash your hair? Just the very basic things like that. So from an employer perspective, these listed right here are the desired skills as listed by Purdue University. Their College of Business did a study on what do employers really want, and these change every year. This is the 2015 list, and I compared it to the 2014 list, and it was very different. So this is something that is very changing and something that we as people looking for jobs and wanting to keep jobs need to be aware of. So these are all skills that cannot be taught or learned in an educational environment or through reading a textbook. These are all things that depend on self-reflection and through putting yourselves in situations to better you as an individual. And employees expect you to have these without training. They're not going to sit you down in a meeting and say, hey, when you come to work, wash your hair and don't yell at this customer. It's not a realistic thing. It's something that we need to have intrinsic motivation and move on with that. And then the ability to learn encompasses many of these traits. Just having those 6 dimensions down shows that you can learn, that you can reflect. And that's how you're going to learn how to use software systems, how to learn to do the accounts that's for the company, or just any other role that comes along with that. So from the employee perspective, why is this an issue? Why can't we just look at those 6 dimensions like a checklist and say, I've got this and this and this? The first is overconfidence bias. 70% of people rate themselves as better than average. The first time I went through that list, I was like, I've got this, this, and this. Wait, I've got all of these, there's nothing wrong with me. Which is very much so not true, because there's something wrong with all of us. So, a little bit of confidence there. So secondly, we judge ourselves based on others. It's very easy to pick on the weakest link in an organization, say, well, I could be worse, I could be like Joe, I could be like Judy, or so on, but that's not true either. And then a lot of these things are in our subconscious mind. How we interact with people isn't something we regularly think about. The jokes that we say, the remarks we make, how we write emails, and etc. They're just things that are so routine for us that we've been doing them since we learned how to walk and talk that it's really hard to go back through and undo all those patterns. So it's very much a psychological issue to overcome all of these barriers. So how do we do it? It first starts with making a personal decision. If it's not you that makes the choice to become a better employee, to become a better person, it's not going to happen. No one can tell you to be more honest. It's a choice that you have to make. Secondly, is ask those around you for input. That is one of the most humbling things that you can do in a workplace environment and as an individual, because you are opening yourself up for criticism. You open yourself up to have people tell you exactly what's wrong with you, and that can be an unpleasant experience, but it really is what you make of it. If you take that criticism as, wow, this person's right, he used this example and I get it now, it's really easy then to reflect on yourselves and learn how to adapt for the next situation. And then lastly, reflect over the 6 dimensions of behavior. They're broken down pretty easily, and you can just say, hey, maybe I do struggle with honoring my commitments. I'm pretty late on doing some things, and it's just really about taking that to the next level and making it about yourself. So just kind of in closing, understand the 6 dimensions of professional behavior. What do they encompass? So there's the honesty, looking your best, so your appeal, you've got integrity, the tolerance, tact, and just so on. Understand the basic desires of the employers and those that are applied to a workplace culture. So the list that I had thrown up there was pretty vague. It was for all employers everywhere, but every workplace is different. Working in the college of business, you usually have to be pretty happy and upbeat. That's the cultural norm for us. So if you were to come in and be really grouchy and complain about everything, there would be a bit of a learning curve there. So just kind of an example of how to adapt to workplace culture. Open yourself up to that criticism to become more professional. That is definitely a personal choice, and there's also a little bit of you don't want to ask the wrong person, because you don't want to open yourself up to have your self-esteem damaged. You want someone you can trust and someone that's going to actually be very honest and straightforward with you. And then write it down. That's the best way to learn things, to just have a written plan. What do you want to do? Who do you want to become? Where do you want to end up in a career? So do you guys have any questions? We're good on time. Okay. Alrighty, well thank you all for being here.